Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John Minton, and we are at the end of another week. It is weekly reader check-in time, and I'm so glad you guys are here to join me. I have had kind of a pretty cool week. I'm actually still flying high. People that watch the weekly reader know my son's first short film got entered into the Raleigh Art and Film Festival. We were there last night. We were on the red carpet. We got to see his film screened, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty neat for the whole family. His grandfather was there, who funded it. He was the executive producer. His best friend of 17 years that co-directed it with him was there. So it was just a pretty cool night. So I'm still kind of flying high from that. And I've had a great reading week. The spooky season has started off an amazing fashion. I have stepped into the October country with the spooky reads that we outlined, and they've all been top-notch so far. And we're going to go over all of that kind of stuff. But the first thing we're going to do is I have some book mail that I want to unveil. And if anyone watched what we did last week on the channel, we had our huge, my biggest book haul ever. That was somewhat Christopher Walken. It was huge. It was... Forget it. Anyway, so yeah, we had our biggest book haul ever for my birthday, and we had a review of T.A. Bruno's Down Below Beyond. Check those out if you will. But because that book haul was so massive, my name is John Minton, and I have a problem. I can't stop buying books. So this week, there's not going to be a haul. There is not going to be a haul. I am overloaded. But there are going to be some books bought. But just a few. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. And one of these, I ordered this book in months ago, before I even started this channel. And it is from Subterranean Press. It is The Voice That Murmurs in the Darkness by James Tiptree Jr. When I saw that Karen Joy Fowler, shortlisted for 2 Booker Prizes, was going to edit a collection of short stories by James Tiptree Jr. Now, if you guys don't know about James Tiptree Jr., let's go back to late 60s, 70s, sci-fi. She's most known for short stories, amazing short stories that pack a punch. And why did I say she? Because this James Tiptree Jr. is a pseudonym for Alice Sheldon, and she so immersed herself in this personality as a writer that it was like a muse that would transform her, and she called it the voice that murmured to her in the darkness as she sat down. And as James Tiptree Jr., she taking on the facade of this male writer in that time, she felt she could more freely express what she wanted to express. And then as time went on, she wanted to express different things. So she took a pseudonym to the pseudonym that was female, and then eventually, and she actually submersed herself so deep into this that she wrote letters to friends and peers as James Tiptree Jr., and then she unmasked herself towards the end, and her peers and friends at the time were shocked that it was actually a female that had been behind a pseudonym all these years. These are amazing short stories, and she so gave into her muse when she wrote. She would actually, in her office, would have different setups of different writing stations, different typewriters, different ways to write depending on what she was writing, what pseudonym she was writing under, what muse she was embodying to write that story. Just a fascinating writer, an amazing pillar of early sci-fi. Up there with Asimov, Clark, Heinlein. If you have not read any Alice Sheldon or James Tiptree Jr., absolutely go find some, and I cannot wait. I'll use these as kind of like palate cleansers between the longer reads, so I was so happy to get that. And of course, Subterranean Press, just absolutely gorgeous books. So I'm just going to do a little bit of book mail during my Sunday readers because I'm not gonna bring in a haul this month. I'm recuperating from the haul that actually made me pull a hammy this past week. So, what have we finished so far into spooky season? I absolutely finished Stephen King's Holly. This coming week, I'm not going to have a full review because this coming week on the channel, I am going to answer the gauntlet that was thrown down by Unlimited Reads when he tagged me for the King of Horror Stephen King tag. I have got all my answers ready, and that is coming out. And I also have to catch up with my full review of The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, which I finished last month, and that wraps up the trilogy. And I've done a full review for the first two books, and I want to kind of cap it all off because it was so amazing. So that's what's coming this week on the channel. That book tag and the review. So this will probably get a full review the week after. But guys, this was a great read. There's so much going on in this book. This book is a time capsule of what we all went through. This book is an interesting psychological look of what we all went through and how we are polarized right now and how we can see each other as nothing but victims to be drawn in. It's so much going on psychologically. He absolutely swung for the fences. This is the character Holly that's first appeared in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. First time carrying her own full-length novel on her own, and well, she was in The Outsider, but that I don't think she was on. Anyway, so this full review coming. I'm still kind of mulling over this. It really worked for me. I know some other booktubers, it's kind of hit and miss. Some other booktubers aren't digging it as much as they normally do King. Some are really digging it. I find myself in the category of really digging it. I think as an author, as an artist at this stage in his life, for him to swing for the fences and try to do so much in a book and catalog of who we are as a culture and where we are as a culture, all the while doing a thriller at the same time, I really thought he went for something, and I really appreciated it. I'm going to get my thoughts together, and a full review is coming up. I also finished this week Victoria Tekken's Phased. This was everything that I wanted this read to be. I am a big fan of Victoria Tekken, or Tori Talks, her channel, as a booktuber. This is the first time I've read her work. She had an interview last week that I watched with Janny Wirtz, and it absolutely changed the way I look at the world. I mean, she's such an amazing booktuber, such an amazing interviewer, and I thought this was just the perfect relationship, spooky read that I wanted, that was beyond full of heart and absolutely had the evocative language that I would expect from watching Tori's channel, and the provocative imagery that would harken back to the real world happenings. I don't know if she meant to do that on purpose, but it absolutely drew my mind there, and I just found it phenomenal. And I will not probably be doing a full review of this because I think Tori is going to agree to come on the channel and talk to me about her work. And I want to spend a good hour. I've got all my questions lined out, and I want to spend a good hour with her talking about her artist journey and what she wanted to do this book, and where she first got the germ of it, and her future work. And hopefully that is coming very, very soon. I know, scheduling and getting everything straight between us, but she has been so lovely to agree to hopefully find the time to come on the channel and chat with me about this book. And if you have not read this yet, what a great time to order this in and pick this up and give it a read. Truly, truly, well worth your time this spooky season. I am a little past middle, guys, of The Fall of Night by Jonathan Mauberry. Now, this is how the world ends, according to Jonathan Mauberry. Jonathan Mauberry, we've all caught up with his Joe Ledger series. The past two installments I have full reviews of on the channel. This is how the world ends when that Lucifer 113 virus gets loose and the zombie apocalypse hits. This is book 2 in a 4-book series of how that happens. And then after The Fall of the World, he has his YA zombie series, Rotten Ruin. And then 50,000 years after that, he has the Kagan the Damned trilogy, which is epic fantasy as civilization starts to come back in a sword and sorcery type way. And I think we start to see the glimmer of how magic can exist in this world in the Joe Ledger book that we just read. We see the fall in this book. So I am loving this so much. This is if you read at the back of the book, has a chronology of his zombie fall, and it lists the Night of the Living Dead movie, and it is absolutely that kind of feel. This is just brutal, just like Romero and Tom Savini brought to you in that classic film. I mean, this holds no punches, and at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to get into character, and even though you know it's a lost cause, you can't help but root for these characters. And his little twist here is that the zombies do keep that glimmer of personality, so even though they are behind the horrible feeding frenzy, they are cognizant of what's going on, and it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see through the lens of our government as they try to stop this spread and what they have to do. And I mean, just this is how much I'm loving this. I have a spooky season that is stacked. After this, to wrap up his zombie apocalypse series, is a novella and then a book of short stories. I'm trying to think of some way to squeeze that novella into this month because I'm loving it so much, and that would allow me to finish the book of short stories next month, and that would allow me to get to Kagan in December before the end of this year. That's the plan. Stay tuned. Hopefully I can squeeze it in and find the time. But this, if you want a zombie apocalypse, if you want something that you care about the characters as much as you did when Walking Dead was at its peak, before it kind of started to lose it a little bit, in my opinion, and pull no punches, just go for the jugular. This is it. This is it. The first book is Dead of Night. This is the second book, Fall of Night. Jonathan Marbury hits it out of the park if you're looking for a zombie read. So, and I've got about 100, 150 pages, so I'm going to finish that probably tomorrow because I'll have a little bit of reading time tonight before I sit down and watch my Cowboys. So what is up next for spooky season? Next is from Andrew Wizardly Reads. When I put out my vampire list, he said this is his favorite vampire book, so I immediately ordered it in for spooky season. I cannot wait to see what Andrew's favorite vampire book is all about. The Lesser Dead by Christopher Buehlman. And the coolest thing about spooky season, guys, is we can blow through a lot because, horror books are generally not crazy long. So I'm going to say before we check in again next Sunday, I probably will be to the next book. Where did I get the next book? The next book is from the Nerdy Narrative. Leslie Smith says this is one of her favorite reads. Stephen Graham Jones, the Indian Hills trilogy. The book one of that trilogy is My Heart is a Chainsaw, and this is kind of more of that Final Girl slasher feel horror that I wanted to get into our October country as we step into it for the spooky season. So I'll probably get into this before the end of the week. So when we get back together at the end of next week and check in with each other on our reads, I'll probably be well into this. And I love the Nerdy Narrative. Leslie knows her horror, and I fully expect to love this. I fully expect to be all in on this trilogy, and book 3 is coming out in 2024, so it's the perfect time to jump on board with that. So that's where we are with the books, guys. What have I been watching? I wrapped up just before I sat down here the Ahsoka show on Disney Plus. And I watched a good deal of the Clone Wars animation. I didn't watch Rebels, and I do think they should probably hand the keys over to Filoni because he's such a fanboy and he knows this universe, and I think he has some great stories to tell. I don't think he's fully baked as a storyteller yet. For some reason, this final episode, and maybe if I was a big fan of the animated series, it would have hit me very differently. But it should have been thrilling. I should have been on the edge of my seat, and it had a great look to it. Maybe because as they're giving Filoni the keys to tell the Thrawn story, you kind of know, and I won't do any spoilers, but you kind of know how it ends up. It's got to end up, he's got to move all his pieces to get ready for this big Thrawn movie that he's going to be doing. So you kind of have an idea how it's going to end. So I didn't feel the tension and the edge of my seat of this thrill ride that this last episode should have been. But I do think him pulling a lot of his characters from his animated work does broaden the universe. It is kind of cool, even though all the Easter eggs are somewhat lost on me. I do think they should probably hand him the keys a little bit. I liked it better than a lot of other stuff I've seen, but I won't say it was like, wow, it knocked it out of the park for me. I'm probably getting caught up very quickly with The Changeling. The Changeling is becoming a great show. A little shaky at the beginning for me, but as each episode goes along, and I think I'm just 1 or 2 episodes back, and I think it's wrapping up next week, so I'll probably be done with it next week. As each episode I watch, and it gets further and further into as New York City becomes ground zero for this dark, dark fairy tale that our characters are spiraling into, it just gets better and better and better and more atmospheric, and I truly am truly enjoying it. If you do have Apple Plus TV, give it a shot. It's well worth your time. If the first episode is a lot coming at you, it was me too, and I read the book. If you haven't read the book, that's where you should start. Oh my gosh, Victor LaValle's The Changeling is a great dark fantasy bordering on that horror neighborhood. What'll I start next? Once I wrap up The Changeling, I'm thinking about, I don't know, maybe Gen V. I'm a big fan of The Boys on Amazon Prime, and that's the spinoff show. I'm thinking about maybe Good Omens Season 2 I haven't seen yet. Or I'm thinking about The Continental, kind of that John Wick tie-in. If any of you out there have watched any of those 3 and want to rate them for me and let me know down in the comments what I should get to and watch next, hit me up. I would love that. I need direction. I would love some direction. So in the comments, let me know. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what I should watch next between those 3 shows. And again, we're talking, I think it's Generation V, which is the spinoff of The Boys. Good Omens Season 2, which, Neil Gaiman, top of the top for me, can't go wrong. Or The Continental, the 3-part special in the John Wick universe. Which 3? You guys let me know. Let me know what you're reading. I hope your spooky season has started off as great as mine have. I have had some great reads. And while you're down there, letting me know what to watch next in the comment section. Let's do this. I'm going to take a little trip next week, so I'm probably going to do our Sunday wrap-up. I'm probably going to shoot a little bit early and leave it in the very capable hands of my partner and son, my whiz-bang editor, for him to get out for me. So if you guys have any questions for me, put them down there in the comment section. I am an open book. Where do I hail from? Where am I going to? What are my dreams? What are my desires? What's my favorite breakfast cereal? Boxers or briefs? I don't care. Any question you want to hit me up with, drop it down there in the comment section. And for next Sunday, I'll do a little bit of answering whatever you guys want to know. Since I'm going to shoot it a little bit early, I can drop that in for us. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for spending time with me, stopping by here with us on Talking Story. It's just amazing to me, making friends like you and being on BookTube and being able to talk books and hang out has been the best time. So just keep on coming back, because I'm going to keep putting content out there, and I hope we meet in the middle. And, if you're coming every Sunday, that means you're book people. And if you're book people in my book, that means you're the best people. So, again, my name is John Minton, and this has been Talking Story.